Hey friends, Graham here. Wanted to update you. Some of you have been following along. Hurricane Irma was hitting Florida this weekend. It was hitting the Caribbean all this week and just doing its damage. And so many of you have been so awesome to ask how I'm doing and check in with me on social media, and I've gotten so many emails and I haven't been able to respond to most of them. I live in Tampa, Florida, west coast of Florida. And we were projected to get an awful storm, worst in our area in 100 years. And so we made the decision to board up our house and evacuate. And so I'm out here in the mountains of North Carolina, western North Carolina, at my parents' house. It's kind of hazy and rainy now because we're starting to get some of the storm up this way, but got as far away from the storm as we could. Took my wife's grandmother, my in-laws, my brother-in-law and his family. They just moved to Florida this week and then the storm hit, so it was a rough week for them. But we're safe, we got out, no problem. The storm rolled in last night in our area, and we'd been praying hardcore because most of my friends stayed home to ride out the storm. And the storm in our area shifted east at the last minute and missed it, and weakened dramatically from a category 4, 3, 2 down to a 1 the moment it hit my area. Some of my buddies went by the house today to check for me, and no damage, didn't even lose power, which is crazy. This was supposed to be an awful storm. Now, I have friends in Miami, I have friends in the Caribbean, and not all of them were so lucky. A lot of them got a lot more damage. But, and people in Naples, the people in Polk County, Florida, in Lakeland area, a lot more damage. The storm just was really hard to track. But as far as I know, nobody that I know was hurt, and not even any property damage. So that's just the update. We've been safe up here all week, and the house is fine. But I wanted to talk about the studio because I got a comment on social media that said, hey, are you okay? Kind of an awkward question, but what did you take from your studio when you fled? Because we had to pack up everything assuming that our house was going to get pummeled because we were right in the path of the storm. And the question was, basically, if a hurricane's coming that's going to demolish everything, what do you take from your studio? And I didn't take a single thing. Not true, I took a hard drive from an album that I'm mixing right now because I want to finish that thing and I don't want to lose it. I updated it to the cloud and took a hard drive in case that update to the cloud didn't work. I didn't take a single thing. I didn't take a guitar. I didn't take a piece of gear or a microphone. And it's because it's all replaceable. And I don't take that lightly. I don't mean like, you know, lucky me, I can afford to replace all my gear. No, I mean literally, if I lost everything, if that hurricane did knock out everything and flood my studio or blow it all to bits, I would have started over with something really simple and cheap. And it was a weird moment, but I think a perfect illustration of the recording revolution is that we are living in the best time. If you lost everything, and I have students and followers of the recording revolution who lost everything in their studio in Hurricane Harvey over in the Houston, Texas area. So this is a reality for some people. If you lose everything in your studio, you could start over for about $350 US, completely. Now you might need a computer. So hopefully, like I bailed with a laptop. It wasn't my studio computer because I just didn't want to unplug everything. I just bailed with my laptop. It's not the most powerful computer, but I've recorded on it. I could do a small mix on it. It'd be fine. $350, I would just start over with that. I would get a USB interface, one channel. I'd get a pair of headphones. I would get, I would use free software. I'd use like Pro Tools First or the Studio One version that's free, or GarageBand, which is free on a Mac. I would use free software. I would use a USB one-channel interface, pair of headphones, get a $99 condenser microphone or $70 Samson CO1 or something like that, a mic stand. I would start over that way because I could still mix. I would just use the stock plugins until I could afford to buy new plugins if I wanted any. I might not even need them. And then I could still track things one at a time. One of my favorite records, Fits in the Tantrums, a talented band, super awesome band. They're all over the radio and all over TV and commercials. Their first record they recorded with one microphone. Full band, like drums, horns, vocals, one microphone. I would do it like that. I would just layer, overdub. So if I had to leave everything, which I did, literally, I took nothing from my studio because at the end of the day, I needed more room for my family, for food, for important personal documents, possessions. It's funny, there weren't that many when you come down to like, what is really that important to take out of your house? I had 30 minutes to decide, what do I need to take out of my house? Because the roads were getting backlogged. I had to get out of Florida. I was literally boarding up my house and then throwing stuff in the van. I'm like, what's the most important to take? I took like birth certificates and passports and my personal journal, my Bible, some like one pair of pants, my hard drive out of my studio. That's about it. Nothing is really that important in a storm. And in the studio, honestly, I'm not in love with any of my gear. I know I'm a weirdo, and that's okay. That's why I started the Recording Revolution. I'm a weirdo. I'm not in love with any of my gear. I could rebuild the studio with totally different gear and I'd be fine, because I don't really care. I'm gear agnostic. It doesn't matter what the gear is to me, because the music is the same. I don't care what DAW it's in. I don't care what microphones I use. I don't care what preamps or interface. I've used so many, and to me, they're all great. Sorry, cut myself off. They all do the same stuff, and I'm perfectly content to use anything, even if it's a $350 studio. So the main purpose of this video is to say I'm okay. Thank you for the prayers. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for checking in. Thank you for asking how am I doing. Thank you for caring. My community is safe. The people in my church are safe. We were really blessed. The storm was supposed to hit right on us, went just to the east, and it weakened dramatically. So that's point number one of the video. Point number two is, as much as we love gear, as much as we love our studios, it's all replaceable. And today, for super cheap. Because at the end of the day, the gear is not what we love or should love. It's the music and the songs we're writing. And if you had to, you could start over. Now, literally, I was thinking about this. If I had to start over, what would I literally get? And so I have a guide that I put together, my home studio gear guide. And in it, I have like budget recommendations for whole complete studio setups at different budget price points. And literally, I'd probably get the $350 studio that I recommend, with like that specific interface, that specific software, microphone, etc. Because I could finish mixing this record on it. I could finish mixing this record on it, and I could start recording another one if I had to. And then from there, if I needed more inputs or more microphones, I could upgrade from there. But that's probably what I would have done if everything was wiped out and I needed a studio to keep working this week. That's what I would have gotten. So if you have that gear guide, then you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, it's free. Download it. Just go to studiogearguide.com. I'll try to put the link in the description box. I'm not at my computer, so I can't really put it here in the video. I can't really do any video editing. But that's what I would do. Start with that. You can download that PDF, and you can see my recommendations from gear, but you can see the exact studio I would rebuild with and start over with. Because gear doesn't matter. And there's so much great gear. Guys, you are living in the best time ever to be making music. So check that out. I'm okay. I'm behind by a couple weeks on a record I'm mixing. No big deal. My family's safe. My friends are safe, and that's what's most important to me. So thanks for the well wishes. I'll keep you posted. Hopefully we'll get back in town this week and start putting my house back together, and maybe get back in the studio next week. So we'll see. I appreciate you all. Thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for checking in.